We have a major update regarding the Kawhi Leonard Los Angeles Clippers and aspiration scandal that has been going on now, being investigated by the NBA. Pablo Torre, he released that information about this going on about what seems like a week and a half ago, I feel like now. And there's been a lot of strides made in this investigation. More people coming out to Pablo Torre that used to work for Aspiration, like their COO, pretty much confirming that this was an under the rug way to kind of circumvent the salary cap, all right, circumnavigate it and get Kawhi Leonard on a deal. But we also have more stuff that has happened in the past few days, past week, that have come out to kind of show that Kawhi Leonard and his camp, and along with Uncle Dennis, have been trying to push, teams to give him incentives where he doesn't have to do anything to sign with them. Like with the Toronto Raptors, they wanted to originally go back to Toronto, but Toronto wouldn't give him a lot of endorsement deals like the Clippers were, which is it's illegal. Just straight up, that is illegal. You can't convince a player to sign with your team by saying we're going to give you a certain amount of money in endorsement deals. That you can't do that, especially if it's a no-show job. You actually have to do something with the brand. That's what you have to do. So it's basically illegal. All the signs are pointing towards the Clippers being, punished along with Kawhi Leonard, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the punishments in today's video, what would happen, how it's going to exactly affect the Thunder, as that's something you guys might be wondering. How does this all affect the Thunder? There are, the two scenarios that happen with this, they do affect the Thunder on multitudes of levels. So we're going to break that down in today's video. Before we get into all that though, quick moment to recognize that 62% of you guys watching these videos are coming back on a regular basis, but not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find yourself coming back on a regular basis, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button? You're already coming back. Anyways, let's go ahead, get into talking about this going on. And like I said, some of you guys may be like, Bryson, why are we talking about this? Why is this important to the Oklahoma City Thunder about what happens to Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers? Well, some of you guys may have, already forgotten that the Thunder received a multitude of draft picks from the Los Angeles Clippers when they traded away Paul George for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, along with Danilo Gallinari, all those first-round draft picks. They're still reaping the benefits of that trade. They have an opportunity to swap with the Los Angeles Clippers pick next year, and I'll go and read it off. I have it pulled up to the side here with me. In 2026, first-round pick, outgoing draft pick by the Los Angeles Clippers. OKC will receive the two most and more favorable of its 2026 first-round pick, Houston's 2026 first-round pick, protected for selections 1 through 4, and then the Los Angeles Clippers 2026 first-round pick, and Washington receive at least the less favorable of these. So the less favorable is more than likely going to be Oklahoma City's. All right, so we look at it, Oklahoma City, that's probably going to be the least favorable pick. And so it should probably be at 30 again. There's no reason the Thunder can't have the best record in the NBA once again next season. That will be least favorable. It'll end up going to Washington. And so it's just interesting to look at. But when you're looking at this, all signs point to the Clippers pick going to OKC. All signs point to that. And this is where we get into talking a little bit about the punishments for the Los Angeles Clippers if proven guilty. And I think they're going to be found to be proven guilty at this point with all the information that we have available. This is the potential penalties for Clippers and Kawhi Leonard in circumvention case. Leonard punishments are as follows: void his contract and prohibit him from re-signing with the Clippers. That instantly makes that team worse. It does. Without Kawhi Leonard, especially a healthy Kawhi Leonard, that team is at maximum a play-in team. They might not even make the play-in. Let's be honest about that. Kawhi Leonard is their best player, and they need to be healthy if they want to succeed. Require him to return the money he received from Aspiration. That is almost $50 million, if my numbers are correct from what I've heard from John Corrales over at Boston Sports Journal, along with Pablo Torre, what he's come out and said. Then fine up to $350,000, which I think is a little bit low for this scenario. The Clippers/personnel punishments, all right? Fine the Clippers up to $7.5 million. Forfeit draft picks, and this is where it gets interesting. We'll talk about this in a second. Forfeit draft picks and then suspend Ballmer or other team personnel for up to a year and fine them up to $1 million each. They won't have to sell the team, all right? But it's the forfeit the draft picks thing that really stands out. That's what really stands out, because the Clippers, they don't really have any of their own picks. Truly, they don't until 2030. That's when they for sure have their own pick. Now, they don't have to worry about anything else. And so if you don't want to worry about, with the swap scenarios, other teams having their picks, and I'm looking at their picks right now, you have to wait till 2030, and that's when the punishments will happen. But Something Clemente Almanza reported that I didn't quite have pulled up today for this video, as soon as I already got all the sources for the video and I hit the record button for the first draft of this, he tweeted out saying that what they can do is just, not giving the pick that from the Thunder. Pick number 30 will just cease to exist. They won't get the Thunder's pick. The Thunder will just have the Clippers pick and whatever that second one is in these swap scenarios, which is that Houston pick. So those are the scenarios right there. Those are. So it's just interesting to look at it, how everyone kind of thinks like the Thunder might deal with some punishment with this right here. No, they won't whatsoever. And there's a lot of people that have talked about certain stuff with this as well. And this is where the plot thickens a little bit. All right. Clutch Points reported on this, kind of saying everything that's been happening. Kawhi's, and this is what's really interesting right here. This is what kind of seals the deal for me, where this is truly something shady going on. Kawhi's $1.7 million no-show payday from Aspiration was delayed in October-November of 2022 due to the company's financial struggles. During this time, Kawhi played just 7 of 27 Clippers games due to right knee stiffness. He played only 26% of the games. Then a $1.99 million transfer lands at Aspiration from a company tied to the Clippers' minority owner, Dennis Wong, who was a close ally of Steve Ballmer. In mid-December of 2022, Kawhi finally got paid $1.75 million from Aspiration, the exact same day the company laid off 20% of its staff. There's some more signs that something fishy is going on over there. Kawhi returns to the Clippers lineup and played 45 of the final 55 games, 82% of their remaining games. It seems Kawhi's injury cleared up right when the money came through. So is it just coincidence, or do the Clippers circumvent the salary cap? It could be coincidence. That is like the 1%, case scenario right there, is that this is just a coincidence. When you look at everything that's been going on, though, this is not a coincidence. This is straight up a way to circumvent the salary cap, and Kawhi was pretty much sitting out until he got that payday from Aspiration, because the amount of Clippers, members and owners were invested into Aspiration. Final thing that we'll pull up here. All right. This is what also kind of shows you the circumvent, the salary cap thing. Kawhi Leonard's camp demands to the Toronto Raptors in 2019 free agency, trade for Paul George, an extra $10 million in sponsorship income, bluntly stating, we don't want to do anything. So that's a no-show job right there. They were already asking for a no-show job. That's a way to circumvent the salary cap. Partial ownership of the Toronto Maple Leafs and ownership stakes in other companies affiliated with MLSE. So right there, Kawhi and his camp and Uncle Dennis and everyone else out there was trying to find ways to circumvent the salary cap and get Kawhi more money for these no-show jobs. And Steve Ballmer and the Los Angeles Clippers were the team that decided, we'll get you these no-show jobs. How about that? That's extra, that's just money that they don't have to pay on table for the NBA for the salary cap. That's what it is. They are directly avoiding having to go into more of the salary cap and be able to get players. It's an unfair advantage. And this is where we get into the worst case scenario for this and how it would affect the Thunder. Let's say the NBA doesn't punish the Clippers for this. Let's say they don't punish Kawhi Leonard whatsoever. You then invite every owner in the NBA to create these shell companies to pay players through them. That's what you do, because that's what the Clippers did. All right, they invested in a shell company that paid Kawhi Leonard and these payments to kind of, not have to worry about the salary cap and for sure get their guy. And it happened with some other scenarios as well, with Patrick Beverley taking a $10 million pay cut after Ballmer promised him 94 basketball courts in LA. So we have other scenarios and situations like this that kind of prove this has been going on. So that's when we get into it. So let's say that's, the scenario. The NBA doesn't punish the Clippers. They don't punish Kawhi Leonard whatsoever. All right. You invite every owner to create these shell companies, and just being blunt about it. Okay. Yes. All right. Our owner, he does have a good amount of money. He does. But not to the levels of Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer, his net worth is $150 billion. He's one of the richest people in the world. When you have owners like this, it creates unfair advantages for teams, because only the elite and the wealthiest teams in the best markets are going to get the players in free agency. Even the role players, because then they can offer them even more money to create these super teams. That's, the problem with baseball a little bit that people have with them not having a salary cap. However much money the owners have, that's how much money they can invest in the team. And that's why you always see teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Yankees, New York Mets, all these teams always being at the top, always being the best teams barring injuries, because they can spend all this money, unlike, other teams that don't have as much money, like the Oakland Athletics. Okay. So That's the problem with it. That if they don't punish them whatsoever, you're going to invite every other owner to create these shell companies to avoid and circumnavigate the salary cap, which then leaves Oklahoma City in the dust because they're not in a large market, all right? The owner, he doesn't have as much money as the top 15 owners in the league. So it's going to create an unfair advantage in the scenario where Oklahoma City, they won't be able to compete if the NBA allows this to happen. So it's either they benefit from the punishments because the Clippers get worse because Kawhi contracts is voided and the Clippers aren't going to be as good and they are at maximum a play-in team in the West at that scenario, maybe even not making the playoffs, and they get an extra lottery pick because of it. And it's going to help them down the road in the future with more of the picks that they own, like in 2027 and 2029. So that's a way that could help them. And it also eliminates more competition from the West, okay? The other way it doesn't help them is if the NBA allows this to happen, it's going to invite other owners, create these shell companies to then pay players under the table, which creates an unfair advantage for the wealthiest and elite and richest owners in the sport. So this is why Thunder fans should be paying attention to what's going on with Kawhi Leonard, the Los Angeles Clippers, and aspiration. That's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys personally think about what's going on in this situation and what you think is going to happen. That's all I got for this video. See you guys in the next one.